I'm Emma from Emma's Kitchen Club, and I'm sharing with you some of my special, easy tips to get you through this festive season in the kitchen. One of the biggest things that people struggle with is kitchen confidence. It's not whether they can do it or not, it's because they believe they can't do it and they get themselves in a right pickle. So I help people overcome all that, whether or not that's at Christmas time or any other time of the year for that matter. So here's a couple of extra tips for you to get your Christmas turkey on the table without a complete breakdown. So the easiest thing that you can do is we're 2 weeks away from Christmas now, is use a couple of days or a couple of hours here and there to get some stuff done in the kitchen now and pop away in the freezer. So before you do that, have a good old clear out of your freezer and your fridge so that you can make space for the things you're going to be making and the things you're going to be buying, so that you don't think, you've just got to, you panic when you've made it because you think, I haven't got anywhere to put it. So first things first, have a good clear out of your fridge and your freezer and your cupboards for that matter. Make space for the things that you might be buying or you might be making. So that's number one thing. So there's a few things that you can get ahead with. Number one is a make ahead Christmas gravy. If you want a really simple one, I would just use some, for example, Jamie Oliver recipe is really, really straightforward. I do a bit of a take on his recipe in my course, but you can't go wrong with his recipe. It's dead easy and it'll take you about 2 hours from beginning to end. You've got the gravy, it's in a container in the freezer. You get it out the night before or in the morning, and then you reheat it and add the turkey juices to it. And it's really, really simple. If you don't want to bother to make your own gravy, that's also fine. So if you have like a really nice sort of Bisto granules or whatever it is, granules that you use, that's fine to use that. But instead of just using water to make the gravy, make sure that once you've sat the turkey and you've rested it, there's a load of juices that come out of it, or the cooking juices that it's obviously cooked in. Use those juices in any of the water that you use to boil the sprouts or the carrots or whatever you're doing on the day. So that way you've got some really tasty vegetable water or vegetable stock to use to make the gravy with. So it's fine to use Bisto granules or whatever granules it is that you like to use, but just make sure that it's flavored with the juice of the meat that you're using, and I promise you it will be a beautiful gravy, whatever. It's a little less hassle than making your own, and if it makes life easier, then just do it. The other thing that you can get ahead with now is a stuffing. So I tend to make a sausage meat stuffing full of loads of dried fruits, nuts and herbs and everything. It goes into a metal container, one of those sort of like a little takeaway pot container or tray, into the freezer once it's made. It's not pre-cooked, so it uses raw sausage meat and all the breadcrumbs and other things. There's recipes in a book that is going to be for sale on my group, Emma's Kitchen Club, very shortly. So if you want any recipes, that is where you'll find them. So the stuffing then goes into the freezer, and then it comes out the night before, goes into the fridge to defrost, and then you pop it in the oven in the morning or whenever you're cooking. So it needs about an hour's cooking time and it's done. So that's dead easy. So get ahead with your stuffing if you want to make your own stuffing. Otherwise, just go buy some stuffing, some really nice like ready-made stuff from a nice shop. Then you don't even have to worry about stuffing. I don't stuff the bird because it takes too much time to cook. I prefer to cook it separately. But by all means, if you want to stuff the bird, go for it. But make sure that when you cook it, you weigh the bird with the stuffing inside it, so you know how much longer you've got to cook it for. Okay, so there's a bit of a tip there. Otherwise, you'll end up with undercooked turkey, and that will not do you any favors at all. Red cabbage, if you like red cabbage, I've just made my red cabbage tonight. That is going to be cooked in the oven for an hour or so. It's cooled and then it's popped into freezer bags and Ziploc bags. It lies flat into the freezer and it stays there until the morning or the evening before I need it. And then it's reheated either in the oven or in the microwave. So that's a really easy thing to do. Get ahead of time and you don't have all the mess either. I've got red fingertips from touching all the cabbage. So if you can get away without doing that on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, then that is a good thing. Your pigs in blankets. If you make your own, it's a really easy way to do it. You buy some chipolata sausages and wrap them in prosciutto or Parma ham, and like have a little bit of sage leaf or some rosemary leaf underneath the Parma ham when you wrap it. And again, you can make those now, stick them in the freezer in one of those oven ready trays. And then when you're ready to cook them, take them out of the freezer and pop them in the oven, and they will take about 40 minutes. So again, that's something else you don't have to do, but really lovely way to do your own thing rather than buying them in. You can also wrap them in streaky bacon if you don't want to use Parma ham or prosciutto. And then your roast potatoes is the final thing that I would say. If you wanted to get ahead of time, you can make your own Aunt Bessie style roast potato, which is literally you're parboiling your potatoes in boiling water until they're fluffy. You drain them, you let them cool, you fluff them about a bit, perhaps add some semolina or some plain flour, and then you pop them on a baking tray that's lined and stick them in the freezer. When they're frozen solid, you pop them then into a bag, and you have a bag of ready to go potatoes to put into hot oil. I would use goose fat because I just like them like that, or duck fat if you want, but goose fat is really nice. And if you haven't got any of that, just straight old olive oil is absolutely fine too. So you'll need them from frozen, you allow another 10 to 15 minutes for them to cook through. So I ramp up the oven, is the last thing I do with my potatoes. So I take the turkey out and that stands for about an hour, hour and a half if I need to. And then the potatoes, the oven is then ready for the potatoes, stuffing, chipolatas and everything else. So you've got enough room in your oven. If you need any other help with your Christmas planning, I am offering a one-to-one power hours for anybody who needs that little bit of extra help or support in the kitchen. Do give me a message on Emma's Kitchen Club. But in the meantime, if you have any other questions, let me know.